Tractate Bava Batra, page 118. Here we are, Long Island, New York. From the beginning of the Daf Yomi cycle, we are 1,752 pages. We're about to discuss a well-known subject, which is the Ain Hara, kind of evil eye. How exactly it works, what happened, who and what and where and how it takes effect. Based on what? We're going to use certain biblical sources. We discussed yesterday the subject of inheritance, and we explained that the core understanding originated obviously in the Torah, and we have a case scenario from the daughter of Tzlofchad, people who left Egypt. It was a specific family that have contained people who left Egypt, but some of the members of the family passed away, and the 5 daughters of a fellow by the name of Tzlofchad came before Moshe Rabbeinu, Moses, and they asked for a potential portion upon which they need, or they felt strongly they entitled to receive in the upcoming land of Israel. The Torah tells us that Moses divided it bilaterally, later on transmitted to Joshua, who subdivided it by families. And Moses brought the case before God. God said, yes, they entitled. How exactly it works? So we zoom in the text yesterday and we explain that we go by different understanding, different category, different view. The first view said, we go by the people who left Egypt. Second one said, go by the people who entered the land, Rabbi Yonatan. Third one is kind of combination, which is Rabbi Elazar by Rabbi Shimon said, in both. People left Egypt, people entered the land. So here is a case scenario. A fellow by the name of Tzlofchad. His father, named Hefer, who's one of the people who left Egypt, and as the Torah said, the basic category, it's the age of 20. Obviously he passed that age, but he also no longer among the living. So in a way, the granddaughter of Hefer, the daughter of his son Tzlofchad, received 4 different portions, a lot of properties. How exactly it works? They have the portion of the father. They explain the father passed away, even he was among the people who left Egypt and passed the age of 20, but he was not part of the clandestine deal of the spies. He wasn't part of the people who complained. He wasn't part of people who joined Korach in surreptitious deal against Moses and Aaron. So therefore, he entitled to receive a portion, and God said they are right. So they have the portion of the father, the late Tzlofchad. They have the portion which their father entitled by being the son of Hefer. So it's another portion, again among the people who left Egypt. They have the double portion because the father was the firstborn, and we learned yesterday that the firstborn get double portion. And also her father, meaning their uncle, her father's brother, one of them was a deceased with no children. So they have now 4 different portions, from grandpa, Hefer, from dead, Tzlofchad, from dead Tzlofchad actually another portion as a double portion of the firstborn, and the portion of their uncle. Now, with that said, we are zooming in and try to understand the logical of each view. Remember, we said the first view, you go by the people who left Egypt. So here we are on page 117b, 4 lines from the bottom of the page. Siman, larav Tzlofchad v'Yosef ichpul menashe yachashov. We have here a mnemonic device that presented a series of questions by a great rabbi, name is Rav Papa, and here we go to the first one, is entitled to the more, לרב. אמר לרב פאפא לאביי, the framework is the divisiveness of the land. The first one, בישלמה למאן דאמר ליוצא מצרים תחלקה הארץ, היינו דכתיב לרב תרבה נחלתו ולמעט תמעיט נחלתו. If you go by the one who said that the way the land divided is by the people who left Egypt, we understand the text. They said, and I quote, this is Book of Numbers, chapter 26, verse 54, to the more you shall give the more inheritance, and to the fewer you shall give less inheritance. What do we understand? We understand that you go by the number of people who left Egypt. Meaning, people who left Egypt obviously have certain amount of family members, but later on they are different. When they enter the land, there are some family who expanded, there are some family who are less people. You're not going by the amount of people who enter the land, you go by the amount of family members who left Egypt. And therefore, if it was a large family that left Egypt, that's the way you give to that generation that about to enter the land. You go by the original number of family members who left Egypt. It can be a situation the other way around. It was a relatively small family that left Egypt, and now they expanded, but since you go by the origination, by the people who left Egypt, now all of a sudden they're not going to get more, because the framework goes by the people who left Egypt. And that's the way he understood the meaning of that verse in the book of Numbers. Page 118. אלא למאן דאמר, you go by what? לבאי הארץ, מאי לרב תרבה נחלתו. If you go by the one who said, which is Rabbi Yonatan, you go by the people who entered the land, wait a second. You divided the property by the people who entered the land equally, which means you go backward. You go by those people who originally left Egypt past the age of 20 and now entering the land. So what do you mean by saying larav, the one who have many, you should give more, since each one get equal portion? So they said, you know what, Kashya, it's a difficult, but listen carefully the language. They don't use the word tiyuvta, serious refutation. They just use the word kashya, which is difficult. So, in a way, there are those who try to explain the notion here. But the way that Gemarrah presented, it's difficult to understand. Now we go to the second question of Rav Papa. The second is, ואמר לרב פאפא לאביי, בישלמה למאן דאמר ליוצאי מצרים, היינו דקת צווחן בנות צלופחד. If you go and again analyze the pesukim, the verses in the Torah, and you tell me that it goes by what? By the people who left Egypt, I in a way now understand why the daughter of Tzlofchad kind of screaming, kind of very disturbing, upset by the way things turn, because they believe in their right to receive a portion in the land of the late father. The father, as we said, was among the people who left Egypt. He was a person that deserved to get a part in the Eretz Israel, and they said that we want and we entitled to have his portion. But if you tell me that you go by the people who enter the land, what's the reason for the daughter of Tzlofchad to cry out and to say we want a portion of his inheritance in the land? Ha leitei delishkol. They, in a way, they're not there to take his portion, so his daughter should have no claim to the land. Ela, the Gemara explained, if you go by the view of Rabbi Yonatan that said you go by the people who enter the land, it go by what? Lachazara, which means, in a way, the property returned to the people who left Egypt, and therefore re-divided by the heirs. And velitol benichsei Hefer. We explained earlier that Hefer was the grandpa of those 5 daughters, and they felt that they want to take a property of the grandfather, Hefer, who received land in a way in advance through his children and their uncle. Third question of Rav Papa. בישלמה למאן דאמר ליוצאי מצרים, היינו דקצבחן בני יוסף. So here we go another notion. We go by the people who left Egypt. Now it's a fascinating fact, because the way it was divided, the rabbis tell us, and you go this text in the book of Bamidbar, chapter 1, verse 35, they said that it was 32,200 people that left from that tribe of Menashe, that tribe that cry out. Rashi said to us in the book of Yoshua, chapter 17, verse 14, the way that they recount that part, the tribe of Menashe, son of Yosef, before they entered the land, which was Arvot Moab, that location, it was 52,700 people. Again, that's the book of Bamidbar, chapter 26, verse 34. So if you go by this, and you analyze the way Rashi explained the book of Yehoshua, you have increase of 63%, which is amazing for that tribe. So we understand their needs. Its expansion of families is a different needs. Here is the quote from the book of Yehoshua, chapter 17. Vaidabru bnei Yosef, and the descendants of the tribe of Yosef, the tribe of Menashe, talked to Yehoshua, and they said, מדוע נתת לי נחלה גורל אחד וחבל אחד ואני עם רב? Why you give me only a relatively small portion while I'm much larger family? למאן דאמר בארץ מאי קצבחי כולו שקיל. But if you go by the people who enter the land, what's the reason they cry out? They were all entitled to take their own portion of the land and should have no cause for complaint. So he said, you know why? Mishum tfalim dahavu nefish elehu. They have children, meaning it was unfortunately orphans that entered the land. You read all the commentators, they explain how exactly it works. You see the Abarban El, Ramban, many commentators, they explain how that basically happened particularly there, and therefore they have a claim, they have something to cry out that is not sufficient property. Now we go, by the way, to learn something from those pesukim. And just you should know that there are 2 different explanations for all the story here. You have the Rashbam, who said that it was many orphans, and Rashash, and you have others that say that they just expanded more than the other tribes. But anyway, Amar Abaye Ishma Mina, Lo Hava Chad Delo Shakil. So it means that it wasn't one single person that didn't take a portion when that took place. The if it was someone, people care for the land, people want to be a part, not only because they want the property, people have ideological idea that they suffer so much and they want to have a piece of land of Israel. You see to this very day, people do everything to have a portion in land of Israel, even in the sense of buying a spot for the end of life, in a cemetery, because of the strong Jewish feeling, connectedness to our Holy Land. So the daughter of Tzlofchad cried out to Moshe Rabbeinu. The children, the descendants of Yosef, the children of the tribe of Menashe, cry out to Yehoshua. So v'chi teima, if you tell me that it was others that cry out, de tzabach v'anekat v'ekra, de tzabach v'lo anekat v'ekra, habne Yosef de tzavchei v'lo ahani, which is v'kadvin ukra. You see, the Joshua cannot take away part of other tribes. So even the descendants of Yosef, the tribe of Menashe, cry out. Joshua could not compensate them. And that's the way Rashbam explained. And he only said to them, look, you look at your estate and try to find property that was not used, that basically would not conquer, so you can expand your estate. But the Gemara rejected, said, Hatam eitzat tova kamashmalan, which is a fascinating notion. The Gemara said here, Joshua gave them a very good advice. What did he say? The baila le'inishli is dahurei me'eina bisha. A person should be very circumspect, be cautious from evil eye, which means Joshua warned them that don't belittle the idea that people will see you, how many family members you have, how you expanded your tribe, get jealous, and it creates a problem. Not so much the act of jealousy that we understand in the modern days, but the act of evil eye, which soon we're going to elaborate. V'hainu deka'amar lo Yehoshua, dechtiv, there is a pasuk, there is a sentence of the book of Yehoshua, chapter 17, verse 15. Vayomer aleim Yehoshua im am rav ata ale lecha hayara. Joshua said to them, just because I care for you people, and you expanded and so beautiful, you know what? Go and occupy the forest. Why is that? The forest, no one knows that you are so many. No one knows how great and big your tribe. So is no evil eye. Meaning, לכו והחביאו עצמכם ביערים, שלא תשלוט בכם עין הרע. Go and conceal yourself in the forests, so that the evil eye will not have dominion over you. If you remember, we studied the beginning of this tractate, Bava Batra, page 2b. Remember that Gemarrah said that a person should not stand, לא יעמוד אדם סמוך לקמתו של חברו. A person should not stand up close to a state that, in a sense, growing beautifully of his fellow, because he can get in a way jealous and gives an evil eye to another fellow, which, by the way, many other cultures believe in that. You read the literature of Mu'tazila, of the Islam, you read the literature in the Hinduism, even some of the literature of Shintoism, you see that there is a strong belief in the world religion, in that notion of giving an evil eye. But here you see the idea. There is a book called Torat Chaim, and he explained, and he said, גורם לשני שיתפעל מההצלחה שלך. You're causing someone else to be very kind of super impressed, if you say the least, from you unusual or tremendous success. Can be children, can be money, can be Lamborghini or whatever it is, something that someone else have, and in a way you ostentatiously showed off, and it costs yourself to have a damage for yourself. That's the reason why Joshua said it. Let me share with you just one line from the Rashbam, very bottom of the page. Rashbam said, a person should conceal, should hide himself to avoid an evil eye. So in a way, there is a written in a book called Netivot Olam, you see it also in the Chazon Ish, that explain that in a way it can affect other people, because it creates in a theological way some entity in the heavenly tribunal, and cause the other person to lose or to reduce or to have all kind of, God forbid, damages because of that notion of someone else. 118b, אמרו לי, don't worry, ענן מזרעה דיוסף ולא שלטה בעין הבישה. Rashbam said, והיינו דכתיב, אמרו בני יוסף, לא יחמצא לנו ההר. In a way, we learn it both in Bava Metzia 84, Sota 36, that Joseph created by his tremendous righteous good deed a protection, or spiritual, mystical protection against evil eye. So we are descendants of Joseph, we shouldn't worry about it. The Torah said in the book of Bereshit, chapter 49, verse 22, Ben Porat Yosef, Ben Porat Alei Ayin, which is a common, you hear from people who bless each other and use that term as an act of fargin, of happy for someone else's success. אמר רבי אבאו, אל תקראי עלי עין, אלא עולי עין, which means don't call it in the literal way that it applies to the עלי עין, that read it עולי, which is they transcended the influence of the evil eye. Joseph's descendants were saying that they are also not need to be wary. The idea is kind of special protection, if you say the least. Obviously, there are many interpretations. The Ritva, Rabbeinu Gershom, they elaborate on the concept. We just give the idea. Another source, Rabbi Yosef ברבי חנינא אמר, מהכה, וידגו לרוב בקרב הארץ, it was a blessing there. It said that at the very end of book of Bereshit, 48, verse 16, that they should expanded the same way as a fish, מה דגים שבים, מים מכסים עליהם, ואין עין הרע שולטת בהם, אף זרעו של יוסף, אין עין הרע שולטת בהם. So it means the same way as the fish in the water, they expanded, they fruitful and multiply, and do not control by evil eye, the same apply to descendants of Joseph. So there's a book, Torat Chaim, that explains it more kind of spiritual understanding. I would like to just quote a little bit from the book. It says, ניצוץ ושפע שיוצא מהעין ומזיקו, it's like a spark that came from the eye and damage. כל שיש בו הפסק, אין השפע הרע יכול להזיק לו. Anytime that they have some partition between the evil eye and the entity, therefore the evil eye cannot control it. So therefore, ולכך עין רעה שולט בדגים שבים, אף שנראים במים כי הם עושים הפסק. Meaning, since it's a separation of the water between the fish and the people, so therefore, שפע מזיק שיוצא מהעין ונדבק בשני. So that's something that would not affect the fish because of that separation. Now, Joshua came from the tribe of Ephraim, which is a descendant of Yosef. So, lichora, apparently, he should be fine. But he teaches an important lesson. לא לסמוך על הנס. Don't depend upon miracles. Do the right thing. Don't show off. Don't go with the tawdry, ostentatious clothing. Don't go in public and show how much money or children or whatever you have, because that creates that entity. It's called עין הרע. And obviously, we are running out of time, so let's continue. מרגלים יהושע וחלב נטלו חלקם מהנאה נמילה, אמרו לה, דאמר קרב יהושע בן נון וחלב בן נפולי, חיו מן האנשים. מה חיו? What does that mean? That they live among the spies? אילה מה חיו ממש. רק תקרא אחרינה, אבל לא נותר מהם איש כי אם כלב בן נפולי יהושע בן נון, so you don't need to say superfluously that line. אלא מה שחיו בחלקם. They live in their special portion of other spies of the land of Israel. Then we learn in the same Braita, מתלוננים, ועדת קורח לא היה להם חלק בארץ. The people who complain against Moses and the troublemakers. And the assembly of Korach did not inherit part of the land. So the Gemara asks, והתניא מרגלים מתלוננים, ועדת קורח יהושע וחלב נטלו חלקם, which means that it means they have some portion. לא קשיא, מר מקיש מתלוננים למרגלים. We juxtapose in the complainant to the spy. לא מר, לא מקיש מתלוננים למרגלים. The other Tana did not compare. The Tanya. אבינו מת במדבר הזה צלופחד. When the daughter of צלופחד came and complained, they said our father passed away in the desert. That obviously applied to him. והוא לא היה בתוך עדה זה לעדת מרגלים. He wasn't in the assembly. They used the word congregation or עדה, which we derive from that the concept of minyan. That the story via negativa of the spies. הנועדים על השם אלו מתלוננים. That apply to people who complain. בעדת כוח assembly כמשמעו, which is the people of his household. מר מקיש מתלוננים למרגלים, ומר לא מקיש מתלוננים למרגלים. One compare the complaining to the spies, the other one not. אמר לרב פאפא לאביי, ולמען דמקיש מתלוננים למרגלים, יכפול יהושע בכלב וירתו לכולה ארץ ישראל, אמר לי, מתלוננים שבעדת קורח כאמרינן, specifically the people of assembly of קורח, the 5 question of רב פאפא, ואמר לרב פאפא לאביי בישלמה למאן דאמר ליוצא מצרים התחלקה הארץ, היינו דכתיב, ויפלו חבלי מנשה 10, שיטה דשיטה בתי אבות, 6 of them is the head of the tribe, וארבעה דידהו, and the 4 portion of daughter of צלופחד, 10 together is a 10 portion, אלא מאן דאמר לבאי הארץ, תמניה how they have, it's only 8 in the portion of the tribe of מנשה, שיטה דשיטה בתי אבות, ותרדיד הוא האטמניה. So it rejected the said ותאמיך ולמד אמר ליוצא מצרים חלק הארץ 9 אהבו. 3, which means the 3rd portion of daughter of צלופחד, not 4. אלא מן איתלך למימר חד אחד דאבא הווה לו, אך אינם מתרי אחי דאבא הווה לו. So again, it's one or two brothers that left Egypt, brothers of צלופחד, and they died childless. The Tanya, נתון תיתן להם זו נחלת אביהם, בתוך אחרי אביהם זו נחלת אבי אביהם, which is חפר, ועבר את נחלת אביהם להם זו חלק בכורה. רבי אליעזר בן יעקב אומר, אף חלק אחי אביהם נטלו, שנאמר נתון תיתן. So by the superfluous word we learn נתון תיתן, that it's an implication that they have another portion of land. ולמאן דאמר תרי אחי דאבא אבו לי, אבל הוא מאחוזת נחלה נפיק. So we learn from that word that they have a superfluous estate that was given to daughter of צלופחד. Sixth question of רב פאפא. ואמר לרב פאפא לאביי, קרא מהי כך האשיב? יתפלי מה כך האשיב? If you go by the people who are each portion of those who receive from the father, תובה הבו, it was more than 10. בתי אבות כך האשיב, if you go by the head of the fatherhood of the tribes, Shita Havu, as we said earlier, we calculated the 6, so you shouldn't calculate independently the daughter of צלופחד. Page 119, לעולם בתי אבות ככה שיבה, כמה שמלן דבנות צלופחד נתנו חלק בכורה. So Alma, Eretz Israel מוחזקת היא. So you derive from that the Eretz Israel is considered already in possession of one who was entitled to his portion in the land even before the land was assigned. So that's part of people יוצאי מצרים. אמר מר, והבנים נטלו בזכות אבי אביהם ובזכות אבי אמותיהם, והתניא בזכות עצמן, לא קשיא, הכמד אמר ליוצאי מצרים, הכמד אמר לבאי הארץ. And then we said, ויבאיתם הא והא לבאי הארץ ולא קשיא, הא דאבה בן 20, הא דלא אבה בן 20, and tomorrow, in Mitzvah Hashem, we're going to explain and elaborate on this.